Claude Howse and his son-in-law-to-be Brandon are two die-hard Toronto Maple Leaf fans. They're about to embark on the trip of a lifetime, a bonding trip to celebrate Brandon's upcoming marriage to Claude's daughter.
I think Claude is the ultimate Toronto Maple Leafs fan. Ever since he was a little boy.
Toronto's my team. I can't stray from Toronto. Through the good and the bad, I'm a Toronto Maple Leaf fan, blue and white. They've given me hope that I'll live long enough to see a Stanley Cup.
What is it about the game of hockey that captures our imagination, our hopes, our dreams? We are hockey, and hockey is everything.
We used to pick teams amongst us, and one team used to be Montreal, the other one used to be Toronto, and I refused to play on the Montreal team, so I always ended up playing on the Toronto team. If someone said, "Oh, you're on the Montreal team," no, I'm not playing on the Montreal team, right? I got to play on the Toronto team, right? Part of the pond would never freeze because there was running water through a drainage system that would pass through the pond, and we would lose a lot of pucks over on that side. If someone shot the puck and it went over the snowbank that we had made for boards, we'd never get the puck back because it would fall into the open end of the ice. And, you know, being a bunch of teenagers, didn't have a lot of money. My mother used to buy a lot of cans of potted meat, and we all had potted meat sandwiches, you know, a lot. And I would steal the potted meat cans out of the cupboard and throw the potted meat in the garbage, and we'd fill the cans up with water and freeze them, and that's what we'd use for pucks. This was continuing all the time, and my mother would be saying, you know, "Where's all the potted meat going? I didn't use it," right? And I'm over in the corner, "I don't know, Mom, you sure you bought it?" Right? But I remember, like, I'd hear my mother calling out, it'd be dark, and she's saying, you know, "Come in for supper." Now, "Yeah, I'll be in a minute." And then 15 minutes later, she'd be calling out to you again. And a few minutes later, she'd be calling out to you again. And then "This is your last time, I'm telling you, come in here right now." Yeah. Meanwhile, an hour later, I'm still out there playing. My favorite moment as a Leafs fan, I would have to go back to February 7th, 1976. My father never really sat down and watched hockey games with any of us in the family. He was an avid reader, loved to read the Evening Telegram, and Saturdays was a fairly big edition, so he would spend several hours in the evening reading the Telegram. And for some reason that evening he didn't have the Telegram, so he decided to watch the hockey game with me. And that game in particular, Daryl Sittler set a record that night for 6 goals and 4 assists. And that always brings me back, because it was the first game my father ever watched with me, right? And it meant a lot that he watched the game with me. Everybody got their one gift that they exchanged on Christmas Eve, and my wife told the 2 girls to go downstairs and get the gift. And when I opened up the paper, and it was a picture of the night that he had scored his 6th goal, and in the picture was a copy of the scorecard and an autographed puck, and the memories of that night came flooding back. I remembered, you know, my dad sitting out and watching the game with me, and I wish he was here today. Yeah, I'm sorry.
The most important thing that he got, I think that meant the most to him, was the Daryl Sittler picture that we gave him for Christmas, and he cried. And not very often that Claude would cry. And just the emotion, like, I mean, I didn't think that it would mean so much, but I mean, hearing the story from him about his dad, and it was such a beautiful thing, that it was memories that he had of his dad.
It's my most prized possession in this room. Since I got the picture, every game that the Leafs play, I come down and I touch the picture. It's like it connects me with my father again. I could see me and my dad sitting in the living room watching that game. For him to sit down that night with me, it meant the world to me, right? If someone came to me and said, your house is on fire, you got to get out, that picture got to go with me. Got to go. So the first time I met Brandon, as my daughter's fiance, I was here in my rec room watching a Leafs game, and my daughter phoned me and she said, Dad, we're coming over. And I said, who's we?
The first time I met Claude, well, I wasn't allowed to come home with Leah unless I was a Toronto fan. And she told me that. And then she brought me down here in this room. Before I even seen Claude, I was amazed. And then Claude asked me, so what team do you root for? And I said the Leafs.
So when he walked in and he had the Toronto Maple Leaf ball cap on, I knew right away. I said, well, okay, there's hurdle one he just passed.
I knew Claude would approve of Brandon because he's a Leafs fan. And that's one thing in Claude's books, is that you got to be a Leafs fan in order to date his daughter.
Well, it was a start.
I still wasn't sold, you know, okay, this is going to be a nice guy. Until we started talking, and he started talking about the old Leafs and the new Leafs, and you know, and how his dad is a Leaf fan too, and you know, how he'd love to see the Leafs play, and right away I could tell that, you know, he was a genuine guy, right? That he was going to be a good guy for my daughter.
Well, the main goal was to make his daughter happy. If I made her happy, then he'd be happy, and then we'd all be happy as a group. And well, I guess the Leafs did start the whole thing for us.
And I actually, in my heart, I was hoping that, you know, that the two would get along well and, you know, see where life takes them. And here they are now, engaged to be married, getting married in July. So my little girl is grown up.
I think me and Claude do have a special relationship because of the Leafs, because it's our biggest thing in common. It's how we start every conversation, almost, to be honest. See, that's the thing. Both our emotions run deep when it comes to the Leafs. Well, I've been a fan ever since I was born. And it's actually getting deeper ever since I met Claude. Because we both are die-hard fans. I'll always be a Leafs fan till the end.
He's a good kid, right? He doesn't smoke. He's not a drinker. Right? He works hard. What more could I ask from him?
Well, my love of the Leafs comes from my own grandfather. Ever since I was young, every Saturday night, me and my grandfather would sit down and watch the Leafs game. Well, I had a little hat and a little jersey. He'd always put on me every Saturday night. And I'd sit on his knee every night, well, until I got too old, and I'd sit right next to him. And we wouldn't leave that spot. And he passed away 7 years ago. And I still haven't missed the Leafs game ever since, because every time I watch the Leafs game, I feel closer to him.
Brandon has never been to a big city. He's been out of Newfoundland, but never been to a big city. And he's going to be in for a major culture shock when he goes to Toronto, especially gets downtown.
Ever since I've started to watch the Leafs, I've always wanted to go to Toronto and watch a game. But I've never had the chance. It's going to be probably the highlight of my life, to be honest. And well, to spend it with my future father-in-law is going to be a completely different experience for me. I really can't wait.
So I'm really looking forward to the time that Brandon and I are going to have to watch the game and go to the Hockey Hall of Fame. And
like, I got shivers going down my spine. I can't wait. Like,
he may be emotional, you know, being there, and may get caught up in the moment, the same as I did when I went to my first game.
Up next on Superfan. It's a very emotional time for the guys at the Air Canada Centre. Superfan is brought to you by Canadian AV. Superfan is brought to you by Northern Industrial Supply. Claude and Brandon start game day with a walk through the history of their beloved Toronto Maple Leafs with a tour of the Air Canada Centre.
Daryl Sittler is my idol. Growing up, you're playing pan hockey or street hockey, pretending to be Sittler scoring the winning goal and, to clinch the Stanley Cup, and to come here and be surrounded by all this nostalgia. It's pretty emotional. I'm a bit worse than what I thought it was going to be. Right? I can only imagine what it's going to be like tonight. Can't describe it.
Surreal. I can't believe I get to see him practice.
That was sick. See the movie just put on it?
Yeah.
Words can't describe it, brother. Right there, intervention. Yeah. Awesome, man. Awesome.
It's insane. Get in a candy store, get in a candy factory. What are you saying?
So right now we're standing in the hallway just outside the media center at the Air Canada Centre. We just watched the Leafs with their morning skate.
That was surreal.
It was fantastic. Something to experience.
Claude and Brandon are sitting in the Leafs media room, waiting for Coach Mike Babcock's game day press conference, where the coach will discuss tonight's must-win game against the defending Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins. A win tonight puts the Leafs into the playoffs.
I mean, you got to be excited. It's Saturday night. It's in our building. We've earned the opportunity. If you're not excited for these opportunities, that's why you play. You play to be in opportunities that you perceive are big games. And for our team and our organization at this time, it's a big game. For Pittsburgh, it's they got 2 left or whatever they got. So it's different for us and different for them, but it's important that we play hard and play right. Last game we didn't move. We watched them skate, work, and we stood around. So we got to come out and work tonight. If you look at it last game, you'd say the opportunity was a pretty good one with the lineup they dressed. And then I saw all those people that didn't know their names skate us into the ground. And so suddenly I got to know some guys' names. You know what I mean? That's what happens. They come to the National League, you don't know who they are. They skate around and they have the puck all the time. You get to know their name fast. So I got to know some guys on Tampa the other night. So I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time worrying about that. I'd get ready myself and do what we do. And when we do that, we have a lot of success. Doesn't matter who we play. I think you should win your way in. I think you earn the right to be in there. And I think if you do a good job, you get to cover the Stanley Cup playoffs, right? So if we do a good job, we get to be in them. If we don't get to be in them. I think you should win your way in.
Up next on Superfan.
Man, it's awesome. How can you top that? Can't be done.
Superfan is brought to you by the region of Labrador West. Live large. Superfan is brought to you by RMS. proud sponsors of community events. Claude's two favorite Toronto Maple Leafs of all time are Darryl Sittler and Wendell Clark. He is about to meet one of them.
Excited?
I'm very excited.
Anxious?
Wondering who it is.
Wendell Clark?
Wow.
I'd like to meet Claude and Brendan.
Wendell?
How are you guys doing?
Such a pleasure to
Good.
meet you.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you guys. Right in from Newfoundland, are you?
Oh, yeah.
For a while, or you what? Catching both games?
No,
Just one.
just the one today.
Oh, good. Nice.
Been a Leaf fan
Forever?
since I was yay
Oh,
high.
good.
Right?
Nice.
This is my son-in-law to be. He's
Got the right
married.
jersey. You're getting the right color
Oh,
going.
well, he wasn't allowed to be with my daughter if he
Hey,
didn't.
that was the breaking point right there, was it?
He came.
First time I met him, he was watching the game.
Yeah, nice. Tonight's the night, eh?
Certainly
No,
hope
wait
so.
around.
Take it
Certainly
tonight.
hope so.
Do it on our own.
Certainly hope so.
Yeah.
Right, you're one of my favorite players.
Oh, thank you.
Right.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Right, tough guy. Right, good score, skate, hit.
You can do anything.
Little of
Oh,
everything, eh?
yeah.
You can do
Oh,
anything.
very good. Good. You're like Don Cherry now.
God.
Cameras everywhere. Oh, that's good.
Yes, sir.
So you got the building, they give you a tour of the building and everything?
Yeah,
through
yeah,
here?
that was awesome. That was
Pretty
awesome.
neat, isn't
And
it?
watched practice this morning. Something that you wouldn't get to do. You know,
Yeah.
just coming to sit in the stands, watch a hockey
that's
game.
Awesome. Oh, you please, you want me to sign anything before
Yeah,
you guys get
yeah,
going?
if you don't mind.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
good. I gotta
perfect.
be, yep. You watch the guys. All right. Here, guys, come on.
Thank you again, sir. It was a
Have some fun
pleasure.
tonight with the
Thank you very
day.
much.
Bring us good luck.
So, when you guys said that you were going to have someone from the Leaf alumni come down and meet us, you know, I look up the hall and I see Wendell Clark coming. I got weak in the knees.
I got shivers down my spine. Wow.
We're going to watch the Leaf players come out of the dressing room and take the ice. All the other Leaf fans are envious of us right now.
Hello, Canada and hockey fans, United States and Newfoundland.
There's no words can explain what's about that. That was surreal. Wow.
Awesome, man. I can't say nothing else but awesome.
I fist pumped pretty much everyone.
Fist pumped everyone, baby.
Up next on Superfan.
When I was walking through the hallways, I kept having flashbacks of my father.
Superfan is brought to you by Canadian AV. Superfan is brought to you by RMS, proud sponsors of community events.
I'm spent. I could barely speak.
My voice is gone.
The Leafs are in, baby.
We're in the playoffs. Woo!
When that first goal went in, I just jumped out of my seats. I was like I wasn't even in my body. And I just screamed. It was, I've never seen the energy that went through this building and went through my heart when that first goal went in, when I seen it happen. It was, there's no words to explain it. It was, I can't even explain it. Wow.
Best experience of my life. They'll never be topped.
Sure it will. When you get married,
But then I'll be bringing my kids here and your grandkids.
there you go.
It's staying in the family.
You got to raise them Leaf fans.
The second they come out, they're Leafs fans.
This experience for me is the experience of a lifetime. To get the chance to come to the ACC and see my Leafs win and make the playoffs while they win, I don't have words to explain it. It's like, as soon as that final horn went, I knew the Leafs won. I felt it in my heart. Like, I jumped for joy, and my heart just, it's like it exploded for happiness.
During the anthems, the Canadian anthem, he started to cry, I gotta say. All right. He's excited to be here. He got pretty emotional, but I was expecting that.
At this game, my grandfather was here with me. Every time I cheered, I knew he was right next to me cheering, even louder than I was. I could feel it. I could feel him right next to me. That's why when the anthems played, I knew how he would feel if he was here. And I pictured it, and then I just broke down. I couldn't hold it in, and that was just it. I wish he was here to see it.
When I was downstairs this morning, and I was walking through the hallways, I kept having flashbacks of my father, especially when I saw that some of the Sittler pictures hanging on the walls. I could feel him.